sleepy on Sunday afternoon. Is that true? That's good to know. So the interesting part is it's a walk down the memory lane for me coming all over here after almost 6 years back into the college and standing here and talking at a place where there was a time when I worked as a volunteer for. So that's the very interesting part. So now coming back to the topic, most importantly what we're going to talk about is that there are various ways entrepreneurship is present in India. Maximum times it is the family managed business that is where the entrepreneurship spirit actually came into India. So to run up few statistics, it's 80% of the businesses worldwide and about 75% in India that are family managed, which once started as an entrepreneurial exercise. That is a large number because when you are considering almost $2.5 trillion economy and 80% of it contributing through family businesses, you can guess what scale we are talking about. So there are ways where entrepreneurs have started and created legacies, and then there are people like me who are now imbibed into this legacy, but we are on that crisp where we have to take the legacy forward but also preserve what has been there. So when you look at the conventional word like entrepreneurship, it's not something that I would relate myself to. I'm more of an entrepreneur, if you are aware of. Is this something that you've heard before? Can anybody tell me what an entrepreneur is?
He's an entrepreneur within an organization.
Yes. So that's the thing. So how many people here have families or are related to family managed businesses? About 15. So anybody knows what are the peculiarities that one has to face when it comes to joining a family managed business? Can anybody answer? Okay, so let me answer that for you. So the interesting part of the family managed business is that the business is running even before you join the business. So even when I was studying in college, the business was running fine. Even when I was working in the Netherlands, the business was running fine. So what exactly was the value that I was trying to add to the business when I joined it? That was the main question I was faced with when I was planning to move back from Netherlands back into India to decide how to go ahead doing that. So the critical question that I had to address was, where do I fit into this organized structure? Because unlike in many of the entrepreneurial stories where it is the co-founders who are building the environment that one falls into, a person like me, I have to land into an environment that has already been created and make place for myself. So that was one of the important aspects I had to consider, and that is where I found my engineering background calling. So to be very honest, I was probably a lot less attentive than you when it came to attending lectures like this. Forget about being in the class. But that was probably the wrong thing I did, because that is what I realized when I joined the business again. So it was the fact that I had to learn most of the things about the business from the technical side in order to make a foothold for myself. So how did I go about doing that? So that was the interesting thing, that we were in a business which was particularly about perishable foods. So I think you all must be knowing milk or mithai or any of the sweets. Any idea what is the shelf life of these kind of products? Correct, and that too if it's processed properly. So that is the criticality of the operation that we are facing, that we have to collect the milk from the farmers in a certain amount of time, process all of this and put it into the hands of the consumer in the least amount of time. So how do we go about doing this? So this is where the things that the speaker before me was also very kind enough to say was, where we have implemented a lot of systems. It's the HR, it's the IT, and it's the logistics. So to give you a rough idea, daily there are about 150 vehicles that are running on behalf of our company, covering about 8,000 to 9,000 kilometers every day, collecting milk, processing all of this, taking it back to the main market areas, and taking all the return empty crates back into the factory so that they can be used again. So this thing is that this has to function without a break, because at the end of the day, if you are not getting milk tomorrow every morning, you are going to say, "Okay, त्यामुळे सकाळी दूध आलं नाही तर चालणार नाही. त्याच्यामुळे दॅट इज द क्रिटिकल ऑपरेशन दॅट वी हॅव टू फेस. So how do we go about doing that? So this is where a lot of engineering and a lot of technology came into use. So it started first from the part where the milk was collecting. So this is where we implemented a program called Cows to Cloud. So anybody else heard? I am sure you all must be knowing about cloud computing. Can anybody elaborate about it? Anybody? Okay, so basically cloud computing is something where you are storing all the data into a cloud that is remotely located. So the physical device need not be present at a location where all this data is being collected. So what happens in our system is that there are about 2 lakh farmers who are supplying us milk daily. These farmers combine about 5 to 6 lakh animals every day. These are the animals that are milked every day, from which the milk is taken out and that is collected, processed and sold to you as packaged milk. So the health of these animals is something that is very essential to be monitored, because that is how it is affecting the quality of the milk that comes out. I am sure every 6-7 months you read about in the papers that there is milk adulteration problem, there is some hormonal problems that you find in milk, somewhere there is some casein that is extra being added. What are the main reasons that these things are being happening? Can anybody guess?
They are not being monitored properly.
That's one reason. Another reason? The main reason for all of this is that there is no control on the whole system that is present. So remaining in control on a vast environment like this was something that was a big challenge for us. That is what we were able to do, and that is something that we were able to collect all on a cloud in the central database, which we were able to monitor and hence control the quality of milk that was coming into the system. So when it comes to Cows to the Cloud program, what happens is that every animal that is mapped into this program, it is being monitored for its daily activities, its daily food consumption, its daily water consumption, its hormonal cycles, its vaccine cycles. All these activities keep changing, because the thing is, the animal needs to produce a next generation offspring in order to produce milk. So these controlled offspring generation is something that needs to be done, so that the next generation that comes requires the milk, and this milk is something that will be utilized further. So when all of this is done in a controlled environment, that is when you are able to reduce the amount of errors that are happening in the system. So when we are trying to take all of this data, it is very essential that we process all of this data properly, and that is where the cloud system and the IT infrastructure came into place. To a certain extent, my IT background helped. So the bad part is I graduated as an electronics and telecommunications engineer. Everybody in the family thought that you're the person who's supposed to head this. When I actually landed up at the dairy in Pilodi, I was totally blank, but I could not tell anybody about it. Because the thing is, what exactly was happening was something that took some time to digest. But eventually we were able to get control, and that is something that is a model case study that one of our IT partners is now displaying even in the United States. So that is where the collection part of the milk comes into process. You are collecting milk that is extremely controlled. That way you are preventing any of the diseases that are being transmitted, any of the adulteration that can be happening in the milk, and that way enhancing the quality. Now all of this milk gets collected, bought into the dairy, and that is where the processing of all this milk happens. So there are again quality checks that happen. All these quality checks cannot be happening on a human basis, for a simple reason that we are handling close to 8 lakh liters of milk every day. So at 8 lakh liters of milk volume, that is a stupendous amount for every liter to be picked out and checked. So how do we control that? Again, we are using IT, again we are using sensors, again we are using a lot of information technology based background to create all this information stream for us. So this brings us to the part where all of this goes into the tanks. It's being processed, then packed and sent into Pune. Pune being our major market, we are retailing about 4.5 lakh liters of milk every day in Pune itself. When it comes to this, the supply chain is something that is very essential. That is also where there is a lot of technology that is being used, because our trucks that are about 150 running every day, they are the ones that are being monitored. So be it the temperature of the storage compartment, be it the speed at which the driver is driving, be it whether what time the fuel has been filled, how much time the vehicle was on, vehicle was off, because this is all helping us maximize the cost that is put to run all of these things. So finally, all these products, whether be it raw milk or whether be it processed milk and milk derivatives that reach to Pune and further are processed to make any of the mithais that you eat, or go as the raw material for some other products that are there, are tracked. So we call ourselves as a farm to fork company. What exactly can you decipher when we say farm to fork? Yes.
Brings stuff from the farm right on the dining table.
So, what all things can you relate to and what happens in a farm?
Cattle, trees, plants, farmers.
So, the plants are not something that we can bring, unfortunately. But the output from the milk-related products are something that come here. What is very essential to be tracked here is that the whole supply chain needs to be mapped. When we are seeing cow collecting milk from the cow onwards to the point where you as a consumer are taking that product, we need to be able to see what the consumer is getting all the time. So that is where the analytics, the sensors, the data all play a very important role. Why? Because the thing is, most 99% of the time, the consumer has a product, eats the product and enjoys it. But it is that 1% of the time where the consumer might have some grievance about it. So it can be a problem. The consumer might not like our taste. They might have a problem that our shops are closed from 2 to 4. Or they can have a problem, or there will be a genuine problem with the food product. Anybody ever heard of a ERP system?
Yes.
Long form meeting? Yes, sir.
Enterprise resource management.
Correct. So, what do you think this kind of system must be doing? So that nobody knows.
Like you were saying that you are running Chitale Bandhu, so you will like to know what your employees are doing. They are doing their work nicely. They are supervising all the mapping and all. So that kind of data is stored in the cloud as a Tally RPA software and all that.
That's one part of the process. What basically this kind of system is doing is that every product that is being manufactured is being tracked right from the point where the raw material comes into the factory. So suppose the thing is let's talk about bakarwadi for example. Everybody's had it? Yes. That's good to know. So the thing is bakarwadi consists of 10-15 ingredients that are combined together to form the product. All these products are coming in from different locations because the thing is we are a manufacturer of the product. We are not the manufacturer of the raw material. So when this raw material comes inside into the factory, it is something that needs to be tagged along. So there needs to be a recognition that what raw material is being coming into the factory, when it is being used, and what batch and what movement that raw material is having. When all of this is tagged, it is tested in the laboratories. These lab results are something that get correlated with the batch. Based on the results, it's only then sanctioned that we can use these raw materials to go into the main production area. So when I make a bakarwadi today, so I know what maida is going into it, what oil is going into it, what sugar is going into it, and what were the characteristics of these products that went into that particular thing. So the thing is, all these products, being natural products, they change in their tendencies depending upon the season. There is a certain amount of standardization that can be done to regulate all of this, but after a certain point, it's not possible to regulate all of this. It's only possible to control it so that to ensure that this product does not go to the consumer. So all of this can have a factor of human error, and that factor needs to be eliminated, and that is where the importance of system comes into place. I think you probably read in the presentation before me that you need to get people to work. But beyond that, I would like to add something to it. It's something that you need to get systems to work for you. Because the approach, what is very necessary is that the systems have to perform and the people will be part of it. Because unless that happens and you are able to achieve a system that performs for you, scaling your business is something that is not possible. So moving on to the part where all of this product actually does land up into your stomach and you are actually releasing the product. What basically happens after this product is sold and we are able to determine whether this product is actually making profit or whether it is making loss or whether we might have to shut down the company. So this is the analytics part of the business. So there are certain points, certain key performance index that need to be analyzed from a person point of view, from a system point of view, from a product point of view, for you to check how the health of your company is. Why the health of the company is important is something because irrespective of what kind of technology, what kind of domain, or what kind of product you are putting into the market, at the end of the day, if your finances are not something that are controlled properly, and the way your cash flows are moving is not something that are monitored strictly, your product will be a good hit, but your company might not survive to take that product to the potential that product has. This is where the finance part of the business comes into very effectively, and that is something that we as engineers lack to a certain extent. How many of us are engineers? Or about you? So commerce graduates, please excuse me. So the fact is, the finance is something that goes irrespective of which business you are doing, and that is something that needs to be governed properly. And that is not something that can be governed at a scale where you are able to implement humans to keep a tab of all of these activities happening. And that is again where a system-based approach is very necessary. So the end of the story, basically the moral of this entire story is that how do you put systems into your business processes? Because beyond that, if you're not putting systems there, scalability of the business is something that is very doubtful and very difficult to achieve. So systems come only when you are exposed to technology, when you are aware about technology, and when you are moving around to see what other people are doing. What other people are doing does not mean you need to copy them. What you need to see is that what is something that can be implemented or learned from them that you are not doing properly. Whether it is possible to replicate that into your business process is something that needs to be analyzed always. Because the thing is, while starting up, many times the companies or many times the organizations you are trying to run work on a very single-minded approach, which is owner-driven or which is co-founder-driven. And that can sometimes be a problem because the owner or the co-founder cannot always be present to see what is happening. So the technology needs to be there to enable the owner to see what is happening all the time, because otherwise the owner is going to lose control on the company. Now, after all of this is actually processed, we move to the part where we are trying to give back to the nature all what we are trying to exploit. So I'm sure you all must have heard about carbon credits and the sanction that the Paris Agreement recently is trying to enforce upon us. Does anybody know about that? Okay, so let me just elaborate a little about it. So the thing is, Mr. Obama recently agreed that in the wake of industrialization, America damaged the environment to a great extent. And now it expects the new developing countries to control the exploit that they do for the nature. And instead, the developed countries can do whatever they want. So that is something that this accord is trying to renegotiate for us, where we are able to utilize the resources that the nature provides us properly. But beyond that, the thing is, whether it is to be done by force or whether it is to be done naturally is something that needs to be thought about very well. Whatever type of industry you are into, what is one of the most essential natural component that you guys can think about is necessary to run an industry? Any idea? That's correct. So, what is the biggest problem we face with water today? Correct. So, the thing is, the contamination of water is something that is a major problem that is causing a lot of damage to the environment, to the animals that are trying to sustain on this water, and hence effectively damaging the whole environmental ecosystem that we sometimes do not understand completely. This control of water is something that needs to be done very essentially and very strictly, and that is something that I am very proud of that we've been able to achieve in the last 5 years. We were recently conferred upon by the Maharashtra state government for the Vasundhara award, which is for the best possible treatment of water that you can give to the wastewater. So what basically we do is that there is a lot of water that goes into the system, and this system utilizes this water as a raw material, as a heating ingredient, as steam, or as a cleaning ingredient. And whenever this wastewater comes back, it is a natural tendency that what we see is that water just percolates into the nature, and along with that, all these harmful ingredients that are there also percolate into the nature, which damage it. So this water is something that needs to be treated very essentially. So there is a lot of processes that need to be done before this water can be released back into the society or into the nature, and that is something that we've been able to implement on a very large scale. So daily we are processing about 18 lakh liters of water, and all of this water is something that is being treated entirely and recirculated and used to cultivate crops for our own captive consumption again. So the confidence we have about this quality of water is that it's something that is better than the potable water that is being supplied, and that is where the award comes in from. Secondly, I think is one of the most important thing that we as entrepreneurs needed to do was utilize the energy that is being supplied to us in a very effective way. How do we go about doing that? I think recently anybody of you read the new budget that the Maharashtra government has proposed and the central government has proposed? Trying to sustain on this water, and hence effectively damaging the whole environmental ecosystem that we sometimes do not understand completely. This control of water is something that needs to be done very essentially and very strictly, and that is something that I am very proud of that we've been able to achieve in the last 5 years. We were recently conferred upon by the Maharashtra state government for the Vasundhara award, which is for the best possible treatment of water that you can give to the wastewater. So what basically we do is that there is a lot of water that goes into the system, and this system utilizes this water as a raw material, as a heating ingredient, as steam, or as a cleaning ingredient. And whenever this wastewater comes back, it is a natural tendency that what we see is that water just percolates into the nature, and along with that, all these harmful ingredients that are there also percolate into the nature, which damage it. So this water is something that needs to be treated very essentially. So there is a lot of processes that need to be done before this water can be released back into the society or into the nature, and that is something that we've been able to implement on a very large scale. So daily we are processing about 18 lakh liters of water, and all of this water is something that is being treated entirely and recirculated and used to cultivate crops for our own captive consumption again. So the confidence we have about this quality of water is that it's something that is better than the potable water that is being supplied, and that is where the award comes in from. Secondly, I think is one of the most important thing that we as entrepreneurs needed to do was utilize the energy that is being supplied to us in a very effective way. How do we go about doing that? I think recently anybody of you read the new budget that the Maharashtra government has proposed and the central government has proposed? Somebody did? That's surprising. I didn't. But anyways, the main point was there is a lot of emphasis being given now by the governments to propagate the use of renewable energies into your manufacturing processes. So again, another thing that I'm proud to say about is that we are generating about 200 kilowatts of power every day through solar energy. That is coming at no pollution cost and utilized by us for our processes. So tomorrow when you are probably having your cup of tea in the morning, the milk that has actually been pasteurized has been done through solar energy. The same goes for the fryers that are frying the macaroni. or many of the other things that are happening there. Now, all of this brings me to a part where, what exactly are the things relevant to when it comes to being at an entrepreneurial summit. How do all of these things actually contribute to doing something like this? What I want to say about this is that, the thing is, not all of us will be privileged enough to start businesses on our own right out of college. It's not something that we have the luxury of, and I would advise most people not to do that right out of college, unless you have a very clear idea and clear positioning about what you want to offer. But that does not mean you should not be giving the most to whatever opportunity you have been landed upon out of college. So be it a job, be it a startup, wherever you guys are working, what you need to do is try and innovate the process, try and create value into the process, and try and maximize the potential of the whole supply chain, so that the maximum value generation happens for not just the owners but also for the customers, because that is something that needs to be done, and that is where the entrepreneurial spirit, and in terms the particular term entrepreneur, comes into play, because these are fixed organizations where you have to create a mark, and unless you create a mark, you will not be moving forward. So that is something that you guys need to think about all the time, that wherever you land, whatever you land into, try to maximize whatever you get onto, and that should be enough to cater to your entrepreneurial spirit to start with, until and unless you venture into something of your own. I think with this I'll take a break. Anybody's up for questions?
Hello, my name is Suraj. So my question is, in India we see it as a very territorial business thing. I mean, in Gujarat you will see Amul, who is very famous. In Maharashtra itself there are 2 to 3 milk brands which are very famous. So then in a business like yours, which is really at a very high scale right now, how do you scale it even further to these territories? How do you break into these territories with the strong competitors which have already a very strong and loyal market share? Yeah, that's the question.
See, the thing is, as you mentioned, there are 3 to 4 competitors present in the city of Pune itself. Let's not even go further into Maharashtra. The main important thing that separates, and that is going to probably take us for the next 75 years, is how we are able to generate the most value. So right now, there are industry specific volumes that are defined and industry specific profit values that are there. In the dairy industry, the average is something that is 3.5%. There are giants like Amul who do it at 4.5% probably. How do we keep our value above this 3.5% industry average is something that is the challenge we need to address. If that is something that we can address, that is going to help us remain ahead of the curve when it comes to the competition.
Hello.
Hi.
Good afternoon, sir. So my question is that when we are launching a competitive product, these 2 products are of same range are in the market, and they have to maintain their reliability for few years. So the reliability is dependent upon how the marketing of the product or the quality of product, on which more is based on.
See, I think this is something that you need to think when you are trying to position your product. Firstly, it's something that you need to think is that what do you want to project your product as? Is it something that has got good quality, or is it something that has got good price? Do you want to be a Toyota which is fantastic value for money, or do you want to be a Mercedes which is again fantastic quality but at a lot of premium? If you are clear about what positioning you want to do, it's something then that will help you project your product into the market properly. If after that your product is not working, then these are the factors that need to be highlighted to the consumer, because the consumer education is something that is very important. Many of the times what happens is that most of the products that come into the market, nobody makes bad products. It is the bad projection of the idea about this product that actually flops the product into the market. So what separates your product is something that needs to be communicated to the consumer. So that is the marketing point. And you need to focus a lot on marketing. One very important factor about today's marketing thing is that you probably don't need to run extra campaigns or spend a lot of money doing marketing, because social media has changed the way you market products. There are many brands I have seen that have created profiles based only on Instagram and are now doing good volume business. What they were able to generate is that brand following because they were able to project their core values. So you need to understand what core values your product has and how that can be projected. That is what will determine whether the product will be successful or not.
Thank you.
Sir, I have heard that you are going into Germany as well, as you are in Pune. So my question is, in Pune you get workers for to work, and in Germany there are things which has automated. So what do you think how you will go where workers, where automation, or else do you think in Pune automation will take part here as well, as if you are taking Germany there?
See, what is very essential is that the per person cost between Germany and Pune is miles apart. You are spending 200 rupees a day probably here in India, and you have to give about 200 euros a day in Germany. So can you imagine the cost difference? So that cost difference is something that over a period of 5 years, maybe that your product is going to be in the market. Whether you can justify that, whether the cost of automation is something that is going to be less than the cost that you are going to bear for spending it on a German, is something that you need to take a call upon. Many times in India, the thing is automation might not always be successful, because the thing is the cost of labor is something that is cheap. It is the cost of skill that is something that needs to be automated, probably to ensure the same consistency in quality.
Yes, sir. I was going to ask you that only, the accuracy and the efficiency that automation gives you that one worker can't give you. So how you will do that?
No, so that is a problem area that we need to identify specific to the business. So every business has certain peculiar checkpoints that you need to check with, where you simply cannot go wrong. So the thing is that for our milk operation, if you are not pasteurizing the milk and putting it into the market, it's going to get spoiled even before it reaches the customer. So that is something that needs to be automated. We need to check, we need to see whether it gets is working fine or not, and we need to check it. We cannot wait for a person to actually on the stove, heat the milk. What we do at home every day, the boiling the milk, and waiting for it to happen, because someday we forget to do that. So that particular problem area is something that you need to address. Whatever are the critical points, that is something that automation can be taken over or planned about. But where there are non-skilled activities, probably automation is not the best option for India yet. Maybe 10 years down the line, if things are more prosperous, the cost of per person will be more expensive, and maybe automation will be more justified there.
Thank you, sir.